Hey guys, today we are starting a new unit. So we have been studying turtles for quite a while now, and now we are moving on to Latin American art. So we are going to be studying art from the part of the world that mostly speaks Spanish. We're going to be studying Mexico and parts of Central and South America. We're going to be studying three different types of art from three different places in Latin America. And the first place that we are studying is what now is called Mexico, but a long, long time ago, so hundreds of years ago, was actually controlled by different tribes. So there was the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mayans, and today we are studying the Aztecs. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about their Aztec sun designs. So if you look at these maps, the small map down below is our part of the world. And you can usually find Michigan because we are the one surrounded by the Great Lakes, right? So that's us right there. And then down below us is the country that is now known as Mexico. So if you look at the area that it's highlighted green there and highlighted red in the main map, that is the area that used to be the Aztec Empire. So that is where the Aztec Indians lived. And that is who we are going to be studying today. So we can follow this website, and this website will give us a little bit more information. And if you want to check this out on your own, it's pretty simple to find, and it's a great one for kids to explore. This is, again, the map of what is now known as Mexico, but back then this was the Aztec Empire. So there's lots of different things you can learn about: Aztec beliefs, an Aztec warrior, Aztec arts and crafts, Aztec markets, what did they eat, what did they play, how did the Aztec Empire end, right? Obviously, there is not still a part of Mexico called, the Aztec Empire, so it ended somehow. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and explore that. But what we're going to be talking about today is the Aztec calendar. So the Aztecs placed a lot of importance on the sun god. At the center of the Aztec calendar stone is the face of the sun, or the Lord of the earth. So if we click on this link, it will send us to this very, very famous carving. This is the most famous carving or sculpture done by the Aztecs. And it is a representation of their calendar. So when this was originally made, it would have been painted, which would have made the days, the weeks, the months a little bit easier to read, whereas we only see it as just carved stone today. So it's a little bit harder for us to decipher different parts, but you can see the little flashing dots tell you a little bit more. So this band, or this circle that goes around, is the days of the week. There's various mythological figures on there. And then, of course, the sun is here in the middle. Their calendar was divided into 18 months, whereas ours is divided into 12. And their months contained 18 to 20 days each, with 5 extra days. So they had the same amount of days in a year, but their months and their days were a little bit different than ours. Okay, so now we're going to head back to our slideshow here and keep rolling through. All right, so here is this famous Aztec sculpture known as the Sunstone. The Aztec Sunstone is an enormous calendar that was 12 feet high. So Mrs. Bergman, that's me, I am 6 feet tall. So imagine Mrs. Bergman stacked on top of Mrs. Bergman. That is how tall this stone is. It's huge. And in a little bit, I have a picture of people actually standing by it, so you guys can get a better idea of how big it really is. And it is 4 feet thick, and it weighed 24,000 tons. Not 24,000 pounds, which would still be a lot, right? But 24,000 tons. So very, very, very large. And you can actually go and see it in Mexico today. It is on display. You'll notice that around the edges, it is unfinished. They did never finish it. So it's still kind of rough on the backside. So it would have been even more detailed than what you see here, which is pretty crazy. And then this is just a little bit of repeating what I already said. So I'll move on to the part that says, that the sun is still a very important part in their culture and art today. So in Mexico still today, you will still see a lot of art using this idea of the sun. And the sun is incorporated into a lot of artwork. So what we're going to be doing, this is going to be broken down into several days or weeks, I guess. So week 1 is where we're learning about the Aztecs, which we just did. So we're not going to go on in too much more detail than that. I don't want this to be too much of a history lesson. I do want it to still be an art project. The art project part of this is going to be huge. It has many steps. And the first step today is going to be to draw your own sun design. Now, today we're talking about something called symmetry. Symmetry is where something is the same on both sides. So the best example I can ever think of symmetry is your face. Okay, everybody's face, or for the most part, our faces are all symmetrical. If you drew a line down my face, I am the same on both sides, right? I have an eye on each side. My nose is the same on each side. I have a nostril on each side. I have the same amount of teeth on each side. I have an ear on each side. Okay, you have hair on both sides, right? Our faces are symmetrical. They're the same on both sides. So if I divide a line down the middle, my left is the same as my right. So that's what I want you guys to do with your sun design. It does not have to have the rays. It can be like what you see in this example here, where it's circles inside circles inside circles, with the rays incorporated in there. You do have to have eyes and a mouth if you want more facial features than that, like a nose or ears or hair or beard or whatever. That is totally up to you. You are welcome to add more facial features, but the minimum is eyes and mouth. And then, of course, that symmetrical sun design. I want it to be your own sun design. Everybody always loves this picture that I showed because it's a simpler version of the Aztec sunstone. And you can use it to inspire your art, but please don't just copy it exactly. I still want this to be your own sun design. I want it to be symmetrical. So if I drew a line down your sun, it would be the same on each side. So that means if you have one eye open, the other eye also has to be open because it needs to be the same. If you do the tongue sticking out like you see in typical Aztec suns, make sure the tongue is in the middle so that it's the same on each side. If the tongue is hanging out of one side, that's not symmetrical. Then it's asymmetrical. That means it's not symmetrical. If you do an ear or an earring in one ear, you also have to do an earring in the other ear. Okay, so it should look like you just copied one side exactly on the other side. Okay, so symmetrical, the same on each side. And that is what you guys are doing today. Please, after you're done doing your sun design, don't lose it. Take good care of it. You're going to need it for the project next week. And we're not going to do the next step yet because you may need time to gather the next material. So here is my sun design example. Okay, and it is currently taped to a piece of aluminum foil. You guys are going to need to hunt down a piece of aluminum foil. If you have heavy duty aluminum foil, that's even better, like the really thick stuff that you use for like grilling. That stuff's the best. But if you only have regular, that's totally fine. That's what I have here is just the regular stuff. So if it's just the cheap stuff you buy at the dollar store, it will still work. You'll just have to fold it in half, like I did here. Okay, so I will explain what we're using the aluminum foil for and all of that next week. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to come up with your design, to draw it, and then also to track down some aluminum foil so that you guys can do the project next week. If you absolutely do not have aluminum foil at home and you have no way of finding aluminum foil, totally fine. Just let me know. I have tons. Like I have the huge economy roll size. So I can easily tear off a piece and put it in the office for you to come and pick up. So that is not a problem at all. I think that's it. I think you guys should be good to go on your project now. So sun design, symmetrical, eyes and mouth are a requirement. Okay, everything else is totally up to you. Have fun, enjoy, and I will talk to you guys next week.